How's it going, everyone? Number one, MrTLexify Glazer here, and today we're going to be taking a look at this video made by NoahJ456 called MrTLexify Lied. This video is made in response to Mr. Lex? Good one. This video is made in response to MrTLexify's video called My Ex, where he was being accused by his ex-girlfriend Reagan as being an essayer, a groomer, and an abuser. This video is widely accepted by most to be an exoneration of Lex's innocence, but Noah seems to have some problems with it, which we'll be taking a look at. NoahJ456 is another one of these COD zombie YouTubers like MrTLexify and has amassed 5 million subscribers, so if you enjoy anything I say in this video, don't forget to drop a like. I don't normally request that this early into a video, but in this situation, it might just be necessary. So don't forget to drop a like. It would really help me out. So for those of you unfamiliar with this drama, let me fill you in a little bit on some context. NoahJ456 and MrTLexify used to be friends, but when Lex had all this drama come out, all these allegations come out from his ex-girlfriend, Noah kind of took his ex-girlfriend's side and dismissed Lex entirely, just totally threw him under the bus. And so when Lex came out with his My Ex video, he exposed Noah for cheating on his ex-wife. Kind of funny stuff, but yeah, that's some context for you so you guys can understand what's going on a little deeper. With that said, though, let's jump right in.
2 weeks ago, someone I used to call my friend, MrTLexify, made multiple false allegations about my friends and I. None of the people who know him in real life or even lived with him for years will ever associate with Lex ever again. I didn't want to make an entire video explaining why, but when you come after me and you lie about my friends, you leave me no choice. And I want to make it clear I have no interest in anything other than setting the record straight and then moving on from this situation.
It's such a funny way to start off this video, considering the irony that Noah and all of his friends are only in this situation because they chose to believe false allegations about Lex first. I don't know about you guys, but he gives off this really bitchy attitude in this video. Throughout this entire video, he's going to cry and whine and play the victim. But just keep in mind that while all the allegations about Lex were coming out, he didn't once reach out to Lex. Instead, before Lex even gave his side of the story, he chose to go with Lex's ex-girlfriend's side. So let's keep that in mind while going through the rest of this video.
Lex told his fans that his closest friends backstabbed him and threw him under the bus for no reason. In reality, the reason we don't see him with Lex any longer are because of the reasons I'm about to show you. It's also important to mention that every single piece of proof you're about to hear comes directly from Lex or his documents. In August of 2017, Lex brought a girl named Reagan over to the Z House. If you're unaware, the Z House was a content house comprised of 5 different YouTube content creators that made videos together and featured other creators such as myself who would often visit the house. When Lex first brought Reagan over to the Z House, he told everyone she was 18 years old. 2 weeks ago, Lex released a document and a YouTube video titled My Ex in response to the allegations made by his ex-girlfriend Reagan. In those documents, we found out that Lex knew Reagan was underage and lied to all of us in the Z House about it.
It is very important to note that when my friends first met Reagan had asked me to lie to them about her age.
The night that Lex brought Reagan over, he was 19 years old, and we thought Reagan was 18 years old because that's what Lex told us. But in reality, Reagan was 16 years old that night, 2 years below the age of consent in California.
Now, I'm not going to defend Lex lying because, honestly, I don't know why he would lie to begin with. I don't think you should lie, especially when you're talking with your friends. But at the same time, if Noah was such good friends with Lex, why didn't he ever reach out to him for clarification as to why he lied? Give a little bit more of a detailed answer as to why he lied, rather than just immediately running with Reagan's side of the story. Well, Noah wants you to believe that it is because he was so hurt by this lie. But Noah, you didn't even live in the Z House, bro. You were a guest. I find it really hard to believe that he was so hurt by this lie that he couldn't fathom to even have a conversation with Lex on the phone or even over a text for that matter. Sounds to me like a more plausible explanation would be something like he understands the social climate. He knows that people are getting their entire lives destroyed simply based off of allegations alone, and he knows that guilt by association is just as toxic. And so in order to protect himself and his brand, he decided to throw Lex under the bus first. This is exactly what happened with the I'm Alex and Slazo drama that happened a long time ago, if any of you remember that drama. So now that the tide has turned and most people believe that Lex is innocent, Noah looks like an asshole for throwing his own friend under the bus so early on in the allegations without ever having a conversation with him. So, in order to save face, Noah's coming out here trying to pretend to be the victim. In case any of you need a reminder, Lex and Reagan met in January of 2016 when Lex was 17 and Reagan was 15. They have a 2-year and 11-month age gap, which some people consider to be weird, but personally, I don't really care. I can see how some people would find it weird, and I respect everyone's preferences, but to say that a 17-year-old should be a registered because he dated a 15-year-old while they were both in high school is insane. If you think that, you should honestly go touch grass. Lex denies ever having sex with Reagan until she was 18, and in the state of California, there's no law stating that you can't date a 16-year-old as a 19-year-old. In fact, it explicitly says you can, as long as no sexual intercourse happens. So as of right now, it's simply a he said, she said situation. There is a picture of Lex and Reagan laying in bed topless supposedly before her 18th birthday, but that doesn't prove that it happened. And if it didn't happen, then it's not statutory and it wasn't illegal to begin with. Also, I know it's a point that has been beaten to death, but I still think it's worth mentioning. Their relationship would have been protected in 30 out of 50 states in the country, because in 30 out of 50 states, the legal age of consent is actually 16, which means even if sexual intercourse did occur, he still wouldn't have gotten convicted of statutory. Don't get me wrong, I believe you should follow the law of the state that you're in, but at the same time, you can still disagree with a law if you find it to be unjust. Like in the case of in some states it's legal, in some states it's not. I personally don't think that if someone over the age of 21 were to use it recreationally in a state like Idaho, where it's still fully illegal, that person should be hit with a drug charge and thrown in jail. I don't know many people today that would make that argument. And so I don't know why some people feel the need in this situation, which again would be legal in most cases, feel the need to come out and say, no, this guy needs to have the book thrown at him. In fact, I think it's kind of weird to say that a 19-year-old should be convicted of sex crime because he dated a girl 3 years younger than him. And also, when they first started dating, he was also a minor. I think that's crazy. Personally, I think that's crazy. Also, a quick question for Noah. You couldn't tell the difference between a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old? That's a little curious, don't you think? For someone who's so against the idea of a 19-year-old dating a 16-year-old, you couldn't tell the difference between the two? Curious. It's a little weird, right?
Thinking it somehow absolved him of any wrongdoing, Lex then revealed in his video that he knew Reagan was an underage obsessed fan.
Another important thing to mention is that Reagan was an obsessive fan of mine. She fetishized me before I even knew who she was. I never used my influence to engage with her. She was the first person to message me and enact any sort of a relationship.
I really like how Noah just threw in the underage, even though that's not what Lex said. He said that she was an obsessed fan who fetishized him before he even knew who she was. Now, you know why he didn't mention that she was underage in that situation? Because Lex at the time was also underage. He was 17, she was 15. Of course, he's not going to say she's underage because he was also a minor at the time. Noah, you know that. I really hate when people do stuff like this. They exaggerate or they only give half the story in order to make it sound as bad as possible. In this next part, though, Noah's just going to go back to harping on Lex lying.
When I learned about all of this 2 weeks ago, I felt so betrayed that someone I considered my friend would bring an underage fan into what was supposed to be a safe place amongst friends and continuously lie about her age.
Ain't true that, and it's a girl.
I would like to apologize to anybody that has been affected by the situation in a negative manner. Specifically, I would like to formally apologize to Pat, or the Smith Plays, and everyone involved at the Z House, where Reagan made me lie about her age to you.
Lex frames this as if somehow Reagan had the power to force him to lie to his friends, but no, he chose to lie to us. He chose to continuously lie to his closest friends.
Again, I don't support Lex lying. However, this is more performative than when he got caught cheating on his wife.
Shared these feelings, we decided to end contact, and we haven't spoken to each other in the 3 years since then. I made literally the biggest mistake of my life. I hate that I have to read this off a fucking script, man.
Do you see a single tear on this man's face?
If Lex was such a good friend of yours, Noah, why didn't you reach out to him first instead of playing Mr. Fence Sitter? Like, let's be real. If I had a friend who was getting accused of all these things, I would look at all the allegations, all the evidence privately, so I knew what was all, public information. And then I would reach out to my friend and ask him his side of the story. And if I had any questions or grievances, I would rectify them with him first before making a public statement. Like what friends would do. But that isn't what happened in this situation. Not at all. More on that in a bit.
And this entire situation was not even the only interaction with a minor that he admitted to. Lex was talking to a 13-year-old fan while he was 20 years old to discuss his relationship problems.
Alex was a fan of my channel, who had messaged me first because I momentarily opened my Twitter DMs to the public. Alex was the one who initiated the conversation with me. Our communication included a short Skype call during which I discussed the abuse I was currently experiencing with my ex-girlfriend Reagan. The conversation was strictly non-sexual and was never taken anywhere inappropriate. Alex was simply a kind fan that I confided in after a heated argument with my ex-girlfriend Reagan.
Lex put this tweet from the 13-year-old fan on screen during his video in defense that he did nothing wrong. What he failed to do was mention or address the tweet that triggered all of this. This tweet from the fan alleges that Lex actually knew her age and continued talking to her and, quote, wanted a friend in Ireland that he could come visit where she lived. To be clear, Lex had plenty of adult friends who were always there for him and constantly giving him their time and effort in order to help him with his relationship problems. An adult conversing with a middle school aged girl about his relationship problems is incredibly inappropriate. The defense that nothing illegal happened absolutely does not excuse this behavior.
Now, should Lex have been talking to a 13-year-old at all under any circumstance? No. And I would never even attempt to try and make that case for him. However, at the same time, this has not been proven. This is still an allegation, actually. Lex has not stated that he knew her age before this call took place. And Alex, the 13-year-old in question, has yet to provide any evidence that she told him her age or that they continued talking after she told him her age. Now, I could, in a certain circumstance, understand that if she told him during the call, he would try to rush the call without just abruptly hanging up because he didn't want to be rude. But again, here's another situation where Noah should have contacted Lex directly to hear Lex's side of the story, since these were just allegations that still, to this day, have not been proven or disproven.
I hope it's clear now that Lex's claim that we were the bad friends is absolutely false.
Noah has not proven this. In fact, he has proven the exact opposite. And watch, everyone. Watch right now as he does it again right here.
In fact, the only thing I personally did to him was say this on stream. Literally all I can say about it is I'm kind of behind. I partially saw a video someone made about it pop up in my recommended. But at the end of the day, if there is anything A, illegal or B, morally wrong that happened, then that is obviously condoned not condoned. What's the opposite of condoned? Condemned. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, CMB. Condemned. No, but in all seriousness, if anything, any sort of wrongdoing was done, it is condemned at the highest level. It's disappointing at the highest level. That stream clip is the only public thing I ever said, aside from commenting 3 hearts on the Smith Plays video where he said he can no longer support you after learning about your actions.
That's funny, because how about this now deleted VOD of you saying that you were going to side with whatever Pat says, even though you and Pat still had yet to even talk to Lex first?
Love the streams, Noah.
I think
Thank
Pat's
God
gonna come
you're
out
one
with
of the few YouTubers left that has common sense to not do some dumb shit in the past. Mr. T really left a hole in this community, but we will move on.
I think
Noah
Pat's gonna come out with a statement, and I am probably gonna stand by what he says there, because Pat's definitely the one who's closest to it and was talking about with him. So that's where we're at right now, chat.
Any opportunity
Hopefully
for E4C soon? Love your content,
really
Blue Heart.
I mean, if I was in Lex's shoes and I had an ex-girlfriend that was accusing me of grooming, SA, and assault, and I saw all my supposed friends colluding in the background to publicly disavow me without ever even speaking to me about the situation first, I'd be a little upset too, wouldn't you? Especially because Lex asked Pat directly to not make a statement before Lex released his response. Which, did Pat do that? No, instead he just completely ignored him because they were such good friends and everything.
I would like to state, Pat, that I did send you a message privately on your Twitter before you made this statement public, in which you saw, but you chose not to respond and hear my side of events and Reagan's roommate's side of events. You not wanting to hear anything I had to say and painting my ex-girlfriend in a benevolent light when there's evidence of her clearly being a pedophile was a direct punch to my gut after calling you my best friend for many years.
In this next part, Noah's going to make the case that Lex threw JC under the bus for no reason. Let's hear what he has to say.
And even more than that, Lex turned around in his video and backstabbed the people that supported him for years by making up blatantly false allegations against us. Lex told his audience that our friend JC cheated on his girlfriend Emmy with his girlfriend's sister at Coachella. Lex said this about someone who he once called a close friend. JC's family has welcomed Lex into their home multiple times. Every single person who was at that Coachella this year can tell you that this never happened. In fact, his only proof that this happened was a text message from his ex-girlfriend Reagan, which he had just spent the previous 20 minutes of video telling us exactly why not a single word she says should be trusted.
If you want to trust my ex-girlfriend so much, here's a post Reagan made about seeing you cheat on Emmy with her sister Kate at Coachella. Everybody in our group saw your inexcusable actions and were utterly shocked that you would be sensually touching your girlfriend's sister in front of all of us while Emmy was not there.
So either A, Lex decided for this one instance in the entire video to believe his girlfriend and throw out the allegation that was completely false against JC. Or B, he actually was using this as a point to say, oh look, don't trust my ex-girlfriend about anything. It's a horrible way to make a point to throw your friend under the bus like that, which makes the next thing he said even worse.
Touching your girlfriend's sister in front of all of us while Emmy was not there. I don't think PlayStation Studios wants to associate with a cheater who defends pedophiles such as my ex-girlfriend Reagan.
This is so funny to me because in Lex's own video, he does list out the reasons. 3 of them to be precise. First, JC never reached out to Lex when the allegations were coming out about him. 2, JC refused to sign a recommendation letter to extend Lex's visa. And 3, JC commenting a heart and "love you, Pat" underneath the video of Pat publicly disavowing Lex and taking Reagan's side. Sounds to me like a good reason to make this defense. Also, it was the latter of the 2 options. He was saying that if Noah and the other 2 are going to blindly believe the allegations made against Lex by Reagan, then it's perfectly fair for everyone to believe the allegations made against JC, also by Reagan. He wasn't saying that everyone should believe Reagan, obviously. And I think Noah is fully aware of this, and he's just trying to be a disingenuous weasel here.
What you are seeing on screen is every single person that Lex manipulated into thinking that JC was a backstabbing snake and a cheater and tried to get him fired from his job when he did absolutely nothing wrong.
JC, you couldn't even spend 10 minutes to sign a recommendation letter for my visa after all we've done together over the years.
It is so wild to see Lex so viciously attack someone that he used to consider a close friend. JC is also the person, maybe more than anyone, who has tried to help out Lex the most with his problems throughout the years. The person whose dad took Lex in, let him stay at his house for extended periods of time, and treated him like another son. At the time of recording this video, Lex's video that slanders me, JC, and the Smith plays has 1.5 million views. The reputational damage that Lex has done on a complete lie simply because he wanted to deflect from his own allegations is insane.
This isn't true at all. These allegations that Lex is talking about were not even allegations made by Lex to begin with. They were made by the same person that Noah, JC, and Pat all decided to believe when they were allegations against Lex. Lex is choosing to cover them because they all threw him under the bus first. I think we have a saying for that. It's called game is game. Also, these allegations were at minute 23 of a 32-minute long video, meaning that Lex had spent the prior 2/3 of the video addressing every allegation point by point. This was not a deflection. This was a defense for himself and also context for his own fan base. In this next part of the video, Noah's going to provide evidence that he was not the one who invited Mini Lad to his DJ set. I don't care. You know what? We'll give it Lex for this one, okay? Lex for this one, moving on. In this next part, though, Noah's going to say that Lex was actually the reason for the Z House 3 never happening.
The next thing Lex said is that Z House 3 didn't happen because of me when he was staying in an Airbnb with Chop and Pat in 2021. This house was never discussed as being an actual Z House 3 as Lex states, and ironically, Lex actually knows the exact person for the reason Z House 3 doesn't exist.
This is a sore subject for me.
I know.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's funny because the last thing I remember about this was the third year we were going to do it, right? We were deciding whether or not we were going to do it for the third summer.
So that's 2019?
2018. I want to say 18.
18.
Yeah.
Jack was down. Chucky, believe it or not, Chucky actually saw things the way I did. Like Z House could really be a brand.
Yeah.
It start to get like its own thing.
Yep.
Like we're having merch. Like we could really do this as like a thing.
Yeah. So he was in.
He was also in. It was you and Pat that weren't.
What? Wait,
Dude.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So when you say you regret it, it really hurts me because it's like, bro, I tried.
Lex himself knows he was one of the main reasons the House 3 didn't happen, but he knows how much his fans care about it and chose to blame me for it to further deflect from his own allegations.
Noah is once again being a disingenuous little weasel here, and let me explain how. It is obvious in this video that Noah brings up that they are all clearly referring to the first time Z House 3 was attempted, which was in 2018.
So that's 2019?
2018.
I wanna say 18.
18.
Yeah.
However, in Lex's video, My Ex, he is referring to a second attempt at Z House 3, which happened in 2021, but was canceled due to Noah cheating on his wife.
I don't want to hear about a lack of trust where nothing bad happened when you did not listen to Noah's ex-wife Martina about Noah's scandalous behavior in 2021, which did not allow for a third Z House to happen. Noah invited all of us to Texas in September 2021 for a third Z House, yet nothing was ever filmed because Noah cheated on Martina in 2021 at EDC.
Yep. Slippery Noah strikes again. As stated previously, this is all brought up in the last third of the video that Lex made addressing all the allegations. He spent the prior 20 minutes of the video addressing point by point each allegation brought against him. Also, this was only brought up as a way to draw a comparison to the way JC and Pat treated the situation of Noah cheating on his wife versus the allegations brought against Lex by Lex's abusive ex-girlfriend.
And you and JC were utterly supportive of him in Texas, even inviting him to cry at our own Airbnb without my consent. It boggles my mind that you would be supportive of a man who blatantly cheated on his wife for fun, yet would not share the same sentiment to me when I was obviously in an abusive relationship that I could not escape from.
Which, by the way, JC knew was abusive and chose to believe anyways.
I had moved to the same apartment complex as JC in 2022 and even shared about my abuse with him, and he did absolutely nothing and actively avoided me. This is why you unfollowed me on Twitter 2 years ago.
This was not deflection. This was simply to make the point that JC, Pat, and Noah are all hypocrites and cowards for pretending to be holier than thou while disavowing Lex for an allegation without ever even speaking to Lex first. They all had skeletons in their closet, but they just decided to throw Lex under the bus when his were exposed. They all decided to unanimously turn their backs on their supposed friend when he needed them the most. But now that he aired out all their dirty laundry, they want to throw up a red flag and call penalty? No, dude, that's not how it works. You can't treat people like that. You can't turn your back on someone and then act surprised when they treat you like an enemy. In conclusion, even though I didn't know who MrTLexify was before this drama, I want to say that I am firmly still in the MrTLexify camp. And not everything that Lex did was perfect, obviously. Even I have questions which will probably never be answered. However, after watching this response from Noah, it made me like Lex a whole lot more just because I can't stand how much of a disingenuous rat this Noah guy is. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video or agreed with anything I said, don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to tell me what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.